right. Dude, how do you do that shit? Your voice is so much different than mine, bro. That shit's pretty
I
impressive,
don't know.
actually.
It kind of just happened one day.
It
We
dead
never
ass just
planned our
happened
intro
one
or
day.
outro. It just started.
Right? Maybe we need a channel manager that can tell us what to do, but that sounds boring as fuck.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I want to do it how we want to do it every episode.
I agree. So we just jumping right in.
Hell yeah.
All right. We're back here on the Legally Lifted podcast. I don't know if we're doing any visual for this one. It might just be audio. We're just riding the waves.
Right.
We got a few different.
Don't do anything too crazy. We're keeping our clothes off. Usually when we don't do video, the clothes are off. So,
Yeah, exactly.
But just in case this does make it to video, we kept the clothes on this time.
Yeah, exactly. Just this time, though. And we have a few topics we wanted to discuss, a bunch of random things that, we're pretty much on lunch break right now. So I guess you could call this the Legally Lifted Lunch Break podcast for the day.
Yeah, definitely.
We've had a few different interesting developments over the course of the last few weeks. One being that
we became Korean pop fans. I'll go out and say it.
Yeah.
I'll go out and say it. Like, I don't know what the fuck happened, but all of a sudden one day, it was destiny. Like, Sergio had heard about it, and it popped up on my YouTube feed. I came to work one day. I said, Sergio, no, we're going to react to some Korean pop. I was like, hear me out. I know this isn't our norm. This isn't what we usually ride around jamming, but has a lot of fucking fans. That's really what it came from. Like, I was like, if this many people like something, there has to be something there.
Yeah, exactly.
There's literally never been anything in the history of the world that's been as liked as BTS, and there was no talent to be found there.
Yeah, exactly. Or it wasn't good. Like 150 million people don't like stuff. Yeah. That sucks.
That sucks.
Yeah.
And it could be subjectively. There's some stuff that I'm just like, I wouldn't listen to that.
Yeah.
But I can see how people, even really popular country songs.
Yeah.
I'm like, I could see how this is the vibe you like. This is kind of like Chill Future to me. And they're talking about the same thing. They're talking about drugs and women, the same thing country people are talking about, but it's just presented differently.
Yeah, and I agree with that as well. Yeah, I could appreciate all the different types of art forms. I think the specific thing that surprised me about BTS is how they have a sound to cater to almost every audience.
Every single one.
Yeah,
even more than like Drake does.
Yeah, I mean, they got rappers, they got singers, they got dancers. They got the producers, and in every aspect of the art, they have a guy who knows.
And it might have been their genius in choosing 7.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Most boy bands, which I even not shudder, but I hesitate to call them a boy band at this point, because that's not really what, from the video we just watched, if you guys want to see us react, check us out on Free CHL. We actually react to a BTS. We're probably like 5 or 6 now.
Yeah.
But so if you guys want to see that, check that out. I'll link that above and below. But what was I saying? We've been smoking, dude.
You were saying that I don't know.
Okay.
I zoned out as well.
Completely just surprised me how much. All I really want to say is it completely surprised me how much he's spitting in that.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that. Yeah, specifically August D.
Specifically August D.
Yeah, as the BTS Army started telling us about different artists to listen to and stuff, we eventually stumbled upon August D, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and shout out the BTS Army.
Definitely.
They don't attack you really for being wrong. There's been a couple assholes in there, here and there, but overall, like, they are pretty respectful and they ride and die for their artists, dude. I actually respect how they go about their business. Like, they really are out to educate people. Like, they feel it's like their duty to spread the good news of BTS.
Yeah, I agree. And they do a good job of it. I remember how surprised we were. Like, when I think you and Nicole had done the first BTS reaction. And people were like, oh, good reaction, but you could also do this track.
Right.
Welcome to the Army. Or I think they said Baby Army or something
that. They called us Baby Army.
Yeah.
And they were saying that, and we were up to 180 comments. And we were like, nah, we got to check this out a little bit more.
Yeah, so at this point, I mean, I don't want to hear any slander on BTS's name.
I actually don't.
I don't either. Because you're just wrong.
Because you're just wrong, and I respect their artistry, dude. Those are good artists.
Yeah, exactly.
I kind of want to meet them.
Yeah, I'd like to meet them,
I want to have a conversation with them. I feel like they're chill guys to hang out with, but I also feel like they've lived a life that almost no one on earth can understand.
Yeah, yeah.
They live like a Jackson 5 type life. The advantage is most of them are older, to where a couple of them were young, though.
Yeah.
The youngest is 23, and they started 7 years ago. What does that put them at?
I
Starting
think they
at
kind of
16?
like come in at different times too. I don't think they all started
I think
at
the
like
final
the same exact time.
I
and
thought
stuff.
this final 7 started 7 years ago.
Possibly.
I
Honestly,
thought, but maybe
yeah.
I could be tripping.
I have no idea.
I'm sure that's in some of the previous comments, but I can't get through everything.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, so definitely, I didn't know we were starting the podcast with a big shout out to BTS, but shit, big shout out to BTS.
Oh yeah, and
All of
even
them.
maybe even a bigger shout out to August D.
I
'Cause,
agree.
bro, you be spitting
I agree. If you stumble upon this podcast,
somehow.
August D, your rapping ability has made us fans.
I don't know if you smoke weed or Delta or CBD or Delta 8 THC, specifically legally lifted brand, but I don't know if you do consume any cannabinoids, but if you do and you're ever in Houston again, feel free to pull up and chill with us on the
Jump in
studio.
on the podcast, definitely.
We'll hire if I don't know how good your English has gotten, but we'll hire translator or we'll just hold up Google.
Yeah, that'll work too. And now that you mentioned it, I guess we could briefly touch on the Delta 8 THC, I guess Delta 9 THC and CBD and all the good stuff happening in the cannabinoid world.
Right.
And that we could start that out with saying here at the Legally Lifted podcast, we are actually launching the Legally Lifted brand of Delta 8 THC. And I don't know if you get it, the name, you're legally lifted, because the THC does, with Delta 8, it will lift you up. It gets you nice and
hybrid.
Yeah.
That's a kind of inside joke we did on CBD Hemp Library, but you really do feel the effects. In some ways different than Delta 9 THC, but in some ways better, in some ways worse. I'll give that to you. Like, there are some things that Delta 9 can give you that Delta 8 can't give you. But if nothing else, it's just an exciting leeway into pressing to be more and more liberal on the subject of marijuana in the U.S.
Absolutely. And
specifically here in Texas.
Absolutely. And the subject of marijuana has always been my favorite subject. Mm-hmm. So it's the only class I ever paid attention to, marijuana studies. It wasn't in a classroom, and it was in a car, but.
Okay, Cushonomics?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Cushonomics. I like that.
I got you. No, but yeah, so we do have that dropping. We'll let you guys know when that brand is dropping. It's going to be some really high-quality cartridges, 6 different types, actually, of very high-quality cartridges, one being ultra-premium, super-duper quality.
Yep, live terpenes.
Hell yeah. And then, which we'll also explain what that means.
Yeah.
Because we realize, and I realize, that some vernacular that is very familiar to Sergio and I and other people in the industry is not familiar to the viewer. Things such as terpenes, things such as even flower. Some people just like weed. Like, what do you mean by flower? What do you mean? Like, I know weed. What do you mean by concentrates, dabs, tinctures? Like, people don't really even know the general words that are pretty popular in the CBD space.
I actually had one of our coworkers that reminded me when you said it. It was, we had like CBD, like flower. He's like, oh, I didn't know like cannabis made flowers. I was like, what? Like what you smoke? He's like, oh, that's the flower. He thought of like flower. He thought it was like a sunflower or some shit.
And we were just smoking the leaves or something?
Yeah, I don't know. But he
got you. But exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And probably about 1.5 to 2 years ago, I didn't realize. I remember the day. Strangely enough, I was nowhere near the cannabis space in terms of working in it, only consuming it. But my friend came over. He's like, dude, they have this flower. They have this bud at the CBD shop. And it wasn't a CBD shop, at the smoke shop, because there were no CBD shops yet. They have this bud at this smoke shop down the street. I drove and went to go see it that day, I think. I went to another shop, and they had just the pre-rolls, because the pre-rolls are things that most people are most comfortable giving out at first.
Yeah.
But then I started seeing the flower in jars, and I was like, nah, we're living in a new world.
A whole new world.
And the thing that taught me that we're really living in a new world, Weed Map sponsoring the fight the other night, dude. That was dope as fuck.
That was definitely dope. It was
I saw people posting about that on Instagram. They were like, nah, it's ushering in a new era, bro.
Hell yeah. And they probably racked them out too. It's definitely big shout out to Weed Maps for being the sponsor for that Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr. event. And
I bet they have some type of deal with like everything's in the best interest of money. So I would be really surprised if Mike Tyson and Weed Maps, considering he's heavy in the weed space right now, that he doesn't have some type of collab with Weed Maps / with Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, and they're all working together. If you're in the cannabis industry, you're all, especially in a thing like Weed Maps, where it provides a map to get your weed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like
I don't think they really do as good a job as we do, but
No, I don't think so either. I know
They don't put out videos, bro. We put out amazing content every day.
every day. And speaking of Snoop Dogg, he was the highlight of that night for sure.
That
Besides Nate Robinson
Jake Paul, yeah.
getting nailed with the fucking right hook from hell. Besides that happening 3 times.
Yeah.
Like Snoop Dogg's announcing was just absolute gold.
Dude, it was actually like, because all of the people like, he's not an athlete, da-da-da. It's about entertainment value.
Exactly.
We don't listen to Charles Barkley because he's the most knowledgeable man on earth. We listen to him because he's fucking hilarious.
And also, a very little known thing is Snoop Dogg also, back in the day, I'd say 6 years ago, did this with Uriah Faber on the UFC Fight Pass. They would sit right outside the cage, literally sparking blunts, smoking weed.
Outside the cage?
Right outside the cage, yeah.
What cages? What type of?
UFC.
They would smoke at the UFC
event? Yeah, like him and Uriah Faber would sit there.
Uriah Faber smokes?
Nah, he didn't smoke, but Snoop would smoke. They would
he was
be
still
drinking.
fighting at that time.
Yeah. He's still, I think, like even very recently. But he wouldn't smoke. Snoop would be blunted up the entire time. They'd be sipping liquor. Uriah Faber would drink. And that's what it was. It was just Snoop Dogg going, oh, my God, oh, shit. And it was great. People didn't fuck with it because UFC is such like a purist sport. Like, oh, why is Snoop Dogg announcing? He doesn't know enough about the sport. But I loved it.
Yeah. Like Joe Rogan, he was a fighter, but he never fought you. Like, nobody working in UFC fought UFC until recently because it's such a new sport.
Well, I think it's more, it's not that they've done it.
Martial art.
Yeah, it's like that they know the sport itself. Like,
yeah.
And who's to say Snoop Dogg doesn't? I mean, yeah,
dude,
he kind of didn't know.
But now he knows the sport.
Yeah.
I guarantee
Boxing, I could see him knowing very well.
Dude,
though.
I bet at this point, we're talking about 6 years ago.
Yeah,
and he loves UFC.
Yeah.
Like, I know I'm not any type of genius, but I know really ground game stuff because of wrestling. Yeah. But still, like, you don't have to know that much. And I think about like women being NFL commentators, and that's not to knock and say that women shouldn't be, but it is impossible that any of them played at the level that they're reporting on.
No, absolutely.
And they have some very good. Aaron Andrews has good takes on football shit.
But more than anything, like you mentioned, it's about entertainment, and Snoop Dogg is good at it. But I think it's become a thing also of maybe with the UFC, it wasn't even that they didn't want to keep doing it, but Snoop Dogg just doesn't have time to be showing up every Tuesday to go to a fight. Yeah, he's got so much shit going on. So I didn't
realize how close Vegas and LA were, though.
Yeah, I think it's like a 6-hour drive or something like that.
It's that far?
Maybe not. I know it's close. I know.
Dude, I think it might be closer because Snoop Dogg has a house in Las Vegas. His son went to school in Las Vegas, I think. So he had a house out there, or he lived there. And I remember, he had that year the show. His son was going to play college football, and he quit after his first year. No. But he had a show showing his son's road to. And I don't know if you know, he has Little League Football League.
Yeah. It was in South Florida, so I used to know people.
But so they also followed his son's football career and stuff like that. And yeah, he would just be going back and forth. Obviously, they can catch quick flights, but I'm pretty sure it's a pretty quick drive.
Let me see what that drive's looking like. 4 hours.
That's reasonable.
That's not bad.
Here to Dallas,
That's not
bro.
bad at all.
Like, I think, and I remember it was short because Snoop would drive it.
Yeah.
And you know, if somebody as rich as he's driving it, that means it's just more convenient to drive it than fly it.
And there's a train.
I'm sure there's fast. Obviously, he wouldn't be on that, but I'm sure there's fast buses. I'm sure there's all types of stuff going back and forth.
Yeah, 4 hours is not bad at all. The only reason I knew it was close is because we were in LA not long ago, and that was an offer. Do you guys want to make this quick day trip to Las Vegas? And I was like, not really. But I didn't realize it was so close. But I mean, still 8 hours back and forth on one day, still the majority of your day.
Dude, as a married man, as yourself, going to Las Vegas alone is a risky business. I know you were with her, I think, huh?
Yes.
Dude, when I'm married, I really don't know how much I'm gonna want to go by myself to Las Vegas. It just doesn't seem like there's much good that can come out of it.
Yeah, unless it's on like a business trip. But I've never really been a huge gambler and like that lifestyle and shit. Like Vegas has never been something I wanted to appeal. If I was going to for a night,
it would be with just my niggas, like just being myself with them. If I was gonna get into some crazy shit for a night, that's when it would be. It wouldn't be next to my wife, like chilling. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, Vegas, I think it serves its purpose. It's a place where everybody goes to make mistakes, and I'd
prefer to make mistakes on cruises.
Cruises, yeah. Cruises is another place though.
And you get to see different places.
If you're on a cruise. If you're married for, let's say, 10 years and you go on a cruise by yourself.
Or just it's not smart.
you're asking for trouble.
You're asking for trouble.
Yeah, 100%, because you're
you're
most
asking-
likely going to be drunk.
You're seeing a
Most
bunch of
likely-
people you'll never see again. Dude,
Exactly,
you're
yeah.
asking for trouble.
Yeah, the cruise ship parties are just different because it's so limited. Everyone's like,
Yeah.
fuck, he's so cool, but I know for a fact I'm only going to know him for 7 days. Let's fuck.
Also, guys, we announced this. We announced this on CBD Hemp Library, like we said. But if you guys think you'd be interested in some really good premium carts that will show you how they're made and the J's, and will show you like the flour that's in it, the oil that's being used, things like that.
Absolutely.
Then send us an email or a DM. That's how we're doing it right now. So we're collecting emails, and the first 50 people will get a percentage off of the cart. We'll get a discount code, and so that's only going to go to the first 50 people. And so it's coming across all of our different platforms. If you follow us, you know that we're on a bunch of different things. We actually got like 3 new subs on this channel today, bro, I saw. So we're up to 8. That's great. Yeah, we've made it. Once you pass 10, you're pretty much famous.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, but honestly, we're just going to keep making these just because they're fun. It's fun to talk about stuff. But just to recap, shout out August D, shout out BTS for being much better than we expected.
Definitely. And big shout out Delta 8. Shout out Legally Lifted. Legally Lifted. Legally Lifted. You've officially heard it 3 times, so now you have to make a purchase. That's the rules.
It is the rules. I mean, we didn't make them.
We just got to follow them. But it's been another one. We always enjoy you guys coming through. Make sure to sub, comment, check out CBD Hemp Library.
Oh, yeah.
Check out Legally Lifted, the brand. It's going to be launching within the next week or maybe 2 weeks max. But we always appreciate y'all tuning in. It's been another one.
Indeed it has.
Peace.